don't really analyze why. And once we analyze it why, it's sort of like you got to know the reasons for something. If you can't identify first you can't identify the problem, and then you can't identify the cause of it, how can you ever find the solution? So once you understand the cause of it, it's clear. There was no wriggle room then. You just can't avoid. Okay, so this is short actually. This one, the quality called enthusiasm or enthusiastic perseverance or joyful effort is what the fourth of the six perfections on the bodhisattva path of the Lamrim is referred to. And they all say that is the most important. So those first four perfections, each is more difficult than the next. The first one is generosity. Then you practice the action of helping others, and then the next one is called patience, and then the next one is called enthusiasm. They seem these sort of fairly disconnected four concepts, but there's a lot of logic to them. But the fourth one is the most important on the entire path, in a sense, because if we don't have that, if you don't have enthusiasm, if you don't make effort, if you're joyful, if your effort isn't joyful, or persevere, they're all coming to the same thing, then you won't be successful. You can have wisdom coming out your ears. You can even be, with incredible compassion. But if you don't have enthusiasm, if you don't have this perseverance, this not giving up attitude, then you will not be successful. So, okay, so only way to, and then when you hear about it, enthusiasm, it sounds lovely, but we have no idea how to get it. We can't even, it doesn't tell us anything. Effort, we can't, we've got to analyze it, and it's really so clear when you do. So the opposite of enthusiasm is called laziness, okay? And there are three levels. I mean, they teach it slightly differently, but I like to put it this way. And the second one is what we call procrastination. The second one is where we put things off. So let's analyze them, because once we do, it's so clear, and then we don't have any there's no confusion any longer, and we know the answer super clear. We know the solution. So the first one is really just, I can't be bothered. And we know that. We are so intimately familiar with that. Can't be bothered. So have a look at this. So first of all, they're talking here very specifically in relation to the Dharma and Dharma practice, not in terms of going to the gym every day or washing the dishes or making money. In other words, it's not meant to be relating. In fact, doing samsaric activities with enthusiasm is a type of laziness. But we're not discussing that here. I'm keeping it very direct. So I'm going to use analogies and examples in ordinary examples because we really understand them. But it's specifically referring to enthusiasm for practice, enthusiasm for our Dharma, enthusiasm for our practice, which is, so the very first thing, first of all, the very first point, and it's really helpful to hear this. The Lamas all say, and it's so logical, that if you don't, the only way you'll ever have enthusiasm to do something, therefore not be lazy, and we're going to go into it, is when you know the benefits of something. So we look at samsara. Nobody has to convince us of the benefits of sleep. Nobody convinces of the benefits of our best coffee or getting what attachment wants, or all the things we know that preoccupy our lives, the things that we're attached to, actually. And that's fine. That's just how it is. But we know when we know the benefits of whatever it is, we will do it because we can see the result. We can see even just getting that ice cream you like. You don't care if you go to 6 different shops, you're prepared to persevere to do it. So that's first point. So that's what's difficult. It's easy to see the benefit of going to the gym. It's easy to see the benefit of nice food and comfort and people smiling at you and all those kinds of things. In other words, attachment getting what it wants. But it's very hard to be enthusiastic about the long-term result, which means to become a Buddha. In fact, it's so abstract, it's so long distance. Even if we see His Holiness and see Lama Zopa as crystal clear examples of the benefit, of this goal, it's still very hard because it's so distant for us. But we have to think about it, So then let's look at this 3 levels, and you can even say 4, but let's say 3 levels of laziness, which are the exact opposite of enthusiasm. So but when we understand what it is, it's really clear, you know, we don't analyze it. So what laziness is, the first one is, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. It's so clear. So then you ask yourself the question, what can't you be bothered doing? Well, it's really obvious. The thing you can't be bothered doing is the thing that you can't do, that you're not capable of, and that's why it's difficult, because you're not good at it. So you go to the gym, and again, ordinary example, you are initially enthusiastic. You think about it, go from work, you go into town, or go wherever, you put your things on, you go to the gym, and you've got the goal in mind. And this is the point, you know, necessarily it takes effort. So what that means is this: you start doing your push-ups, or, you know, your machine, you know, I like that boat one. I like that rowing machine. So you start doing the machine, and you are breathing nicely, and you're doing it, and you're all enthusiastic, you got it. But look what happens the moment it becomes difficult. So that's the second that attachment isn't getting what it wants. You see, and this is the point now. This is the entire point. It's attachment to comfort, not to sex, not to drugs, maybe to being seen as a nice person by the next bloke down on the machine. But the primordial attachment here is the grossest one of all. It's attachment to our comfort zone, feeling comfortable. And if you understand this, it's a revelation. So, of course, anything you can't do properly, you can't do, demands effort. So there's got to be that point at which you go beyond that bit of pain. You stretch yourself to that next little step. And if you don't do that, you will never change. So if you go to the gym and then do your machine, and the moment it starts to hurt, meaning the moment your attachment's not happy, and you stop and you say, oh, I just did the gym. No, you didn't, because we know you've got to go beyond that point, and it's got to hurt. In other words, you got to go beyond attachment, and that is that we do not want to do. It is primordially painful to do what attachment doesn't want, and that means be cold when you want to be warm, be warm when you want to be cold, push yourself at the gym, get up early, do anything. And the moment your comfort zone, and we're talking mental and physical, the moment our comfort zone is threatened, that's the can't be bothered. And that's the worst disease of the universe. And that's what the ordinary laziness is. Can't be bothered. You want to sit back, put your feet up, and be comfortable. And that's really obvious, you know. And it's like, this is the cause of becoming an animal, basically. It's like, this is the normal behavior of anybody who is embodied, who's got the 5 senses. We want to be comfortable. And even if forget about getting extra things like more money, or even getting beautiful, or extra clothes, or extra food, just the grossest level, which is the level of can't be bothered, is just give me something so I can feel comfortable. And we become like gross animals that way, you know. There's no enthusiasm for anything. We just want to be comfortable. We sleep when we feel like it. We eat when we feel like it. We get up when we feel like it. We sit down when we feel like it. That's really what following the craving for the body to be comfortable. Forget the mind, you know. That's can't be bothered. And we know you will, and that's the thing. The thing that takes effort is the thing you can't do. And the thing that takes effort is what attachment doesn't want, because you threaten your comfort. Now, mentally, absolutely for sure, we have a really feeling that it's just, you know, this is actually later on, we'll discuss it, but this gross comfort zone is for all of us, is so common, you know. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. So unless you know the benefit, you've got to remind yourself daily of the benefit of doing it. And even if the gym is a samsaric activity, but look at that one. The number of people who start going to the gym, probably, you know, all start off on the same day, 90% of people will stop. It's only the ones who you could argue in a conventional sense, enthusiasm, they're the ones who persevere. And we can see that if we even look at the gym, we can see the people who are the ones who are the beneficiaries, who have persevered. And we're so jealous in a way that, oh my God, I wish I could be like that. It's because they persevered. Okay, it's still samsaric, but we get the concept, we get the idea, you know, because they don't lose sight of the goal. They don't lose sight of the goal. So we've got to be clear about the goal. And now another way to say that is, and it can sound very selfish, but it's not. You've got to know what you want. What do I want? Because most of the time we're driven by attachment to being seen as a good girl, and that throws us. So maybe your friend goes to the gym and you think, oh, or your boyfriend goes, so you go to please them. That's the wrong reason to do anything. So you've got to have this kind of, and we're scared to say, oh, what do I want? Because it sounds to us like selfish, but you've got to know what you want. So when you really know you want, to be fit and fat or thin and fit at the gym, you want it, you will prioritize it. So we're talking here, I want to develop my mind. Even forget Buddhahood, forget bodhicitta, forget emptiness. I want to become a better person. I want to be a bit more happy. I want to be a bit more clear, even to start small. Of course, the long term is so hard. We say this prayer every day, may I become a Buddha. It's like a million years in advance. We say it so easily, We've got to know, what do I want? I want to work on my mind, or I'm sick of anger, or I'm sick of attachment, or I'm sick, even just to say I'm sick of this comfort zone, this attachment to my comfort zone. I'm sick of that. I want to get past it. You've got to have very strong, this knowing what you want. It's really powerful. I can't tell you. So the basic problem is attachment, and it's not attachment to sex or drugs or rock and roll. It's attachment to comfort, which is the grossest level, the grossest level, to nice feelings in the body, to nice feelings. And of course, your mental comfort zone as well, This is massive. Now, the next one is the procrastination. It's just the first one with another added on top piece, So the first thing is, you think of the gym, using the gym as an analogy, even though it's technically samsara, or your practice. Think of your practice. Yeah, let's just use the one as your practice. Because this is the one problem that the vast majority of people have. We put things off. We get lazy. We can't be bothered. We start doing our practice. We start doing our thing. It gets shorter and shorter. And the number of people just 6 months later, you think, what Buddhist? Who's Buddhist? We don't even remember. So the first one is can't be bothered. Then the next one is, the next one is a lie. Putting things off, you are lying to yourself. But it sounds like a virtue. So you wake up in the morning the first day after your retreat and you're all excited to get up early and do your practice. You want to get up at dawn or 5 o'clock. They all say it's the best time to get up and do your practice before dawn, and you do your practice. And the second day you get out of bed. The third day, your third day, the can't be bothered comes, but then you say to yourself, oh, I'll do it later. So then you feel like you're off the hook and you turn over and you go back to sleep and snore. But you feel good because you got yourself off the hook. That's how we think. But it's a lie. It's much more honest just to say, I can't be bothered. I'm a big slob, But we lie to ourselves. You put it off. And then and we all know the suffering, even again in our ordinary lives, the suffering of putting off your jobs and putting off your responsibilities and putting off cleaning that cupboard and putting off, we carry these obstacles, we carry these shoulds and woulds and this guilt on our shoulders all our lives. Forget about your practice, And it's much, and then when you finally do one of those jobs, it took you like 30 minutes, and the relief is tremendous, isn't it? The feeling of having accomplished something when you do it and when you don't put it off. Putting it off, I think, is the major one that distinguishes us from the holy beings, They accomplish, for the holy beings like Lama Zopa, there'd be no such thing as putting off anything. It's like instantaneous. The thought arises to do that thing, you would do it. Why things take us so long is because we got basic laziness. But we lie to ourselves. And the real one is you just can't be bothered. But you lie. And we do this. It's so common. And then the burden of it, the guilt of it, and the shame of it, and the wishing we didn't put things off. We carry these things around with ourselves. We know that. It's so painful, I should do this and I should do that. But it's so quick. I've had a look at my own life, and I'm fortunate, I suppose, because most of my jobs happen to be called Dharma. So, happy to be called Dharma. But there's still jobs on my computer, because everything goes on my computer, and, my different jobs. Write to the prisoners and do this one and do that one, and edit this and blah, whatever they are. And there's certain jobs I prefer. We're all like that. Certain jobs we prefer to do. So, okay, they're all Dharma, so I'm fortunate. But there's some I just keep putting off, but it happens so quick. Like, I look at my list of jobs, And within a millisecond, so quick you forget it, so quick you don't even notice. But I thought of that job, and within a second, a millisecond, a half a second, a tenth of a second, I've gone away. I've said, no, I'll do it later. But I don't even notice. It's so wicked. I tell you, it's so wicked. And you look at it every day, or you get up off your desk, you go over there, have a cup of tea and settle. You go here and you'll go, I'll do my practice. And before I know it, something, it's 4 p.m. and I haven't done my third session or my second session, because you put things off so easily. So we're giving into attachment 1,000 times a day. Okay, we're human. This is how it is, but we've got to identify the problem. We've got to identify it, putting it off 1,000 times a day. We do it. The thing that attachment doesn't want. If it's attachment, we will do it instantly. There's no argument, We will run we'll be magnetized to do that job when it's attachment. And you'll do it with enthusiasm. There's laziness. And laziness is attachment. Laziness is because of attachment to feeling comfortable. And even putting it off, it's the same thing. Putting off, it's the same thing. It's attachment to comfort. We only want to, we want to follow attachment. So it's just describing samsara in a more moment by moment way. It's not samsara in terms of chocolate cakes and sex and drugs and rock and roll. It's attachment at seemingly more at a seemingly less important level, but it's more primordial, I mean, this is what we really think about the 8 worldly dharmas. I always remember hearing this weird, wacky phrase, the 8 worldly. I thought, what the hell are they talking about? And that's really only taught in the bodhisattva path, because it's a more nuanced, a more pervasive level of attachment. And this is where this fits here, the 8 worldly dharmas. So what they are is just 4 pairs, isn't it, of the way attachment works. And the first pair is what we're talking about here. In the middle scope, when we look into the mind and we look into attachment and aversion and all that, and we mainly try to control those afflictions, the main thing is we see attachment, the craving for the cake and the craving for this and that, and then we try to control it, and then there's the aversion when it doesn't get what it wants. But there's another way of seeing it, and in the 8 worldly dharmas it's like this. So this first pair, I mean, they frame it differently, but basically we're constantly driven by this craving for happy feelings. So technically that means a happy feeling. You've only got 3 kinds of feelings in the way they use it in Buddhist psychology, not an equivalent of an emotion. But you've got the negative states of mind, the virtuous states of mind, and you've got this third category that I like to call the mechanics of the mind: concentration, good memory, intention, not motivation, intention, I will, discrimination. They're very basic, fun, primordially deep states of mind that are there most of the time, and you need these whether you're a murderer or a meditator. These I call them the mechanical parts of your mind. They enable you to do anything. So curiously, in that category, there's one called feeling. We see it in the 12 links. We see it in the five aggregates. Buddha really gives it great emphasis on feeling, but it's very specific. It's not like an equivalent of an emotion. And there's only 3 kinds: pleasant, unpleasant, or neither. So forget the neither, okay? We only are concerned about the pleasant feelings and the unpleasant feelings. So you go now to the negative states of mind and you have attachment. So attachment's main job is to find the external event or person or thing or sound or smell or taste such that when you have contact with it, a pleasant feeling is triggered. That's attachment's job. We're sort of attached to the cake, but it's really just the cake is to get the pleasant feeling. I mean, if cake made you vomit, you wouldn't be attached to cake. So almost as if the object of attachment is just the means for the real thing, which is the craving for pleasant feelings. So that could be on the spectrum of the most best bliss on the planet to the most mild pleasant feeling. And that every millisecond of our mind, and this is Buddha's analysis, we are having either a pleasant feeling or an unpleasant one, and really forget the neutral, okay? So of course, attachment only wants ever pleasant feelings. ever. And that drives all of us. It's even if we're nice people, until we're highly advanced, until we're bodhisattvas or we've got realizations of emptiness, it's going to be the one that drives the show. Forget attachment to sex and drugs and rock and roll, just craving for pleasant feelings. So this way of putting the first pair, is this constant attachment to pleasant feelings. And then the millisecond the pleasant feeling stops and becomes an unpleasant feeling, that we can say that attachment continues, but now it shifts its emphasis to be free of the unpleasant feeling. This is what drives our lives. I mean, the next lot are attachment to praise, attachment to this kind of thing. But this is the craving to be comfortable, meaning the most basic level, a pleasant feeling, And then the millisecond a pleasant feeling stops because, the coffee was cold or something, then instantly the attachment shifts to being free of the unpleasant feeling. So this pleasant feeling, this attachment for our comfort zone is a way of putting that, I think. Just to be comfortable, we don't want to be stressed. We don't want to be pushed. We don't want to go beyond our limits. We don't want to, we don't want to puff too hard. We don't want to run too fast. We don't like to push because we'll have a panic attack, So this craving, just so it can't be bothered. Oh, I can't be bothered, This is the grossest one. And then the wicked lie that we put on top. Oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then we get off the hook. We feel phew. We're not brave enough to say, I'm a big slob, I can't be bothered. We make ourselves sound like a saint. So this is the one that's the most painful, because it also the burden of carrying around all these things we've put off doing, because they stick with us with it. We hold onto them, they're there, and then we feel bad. And this is the tragedy now. As we understand with karma, what it basically means is everything we think and do and say is the process of producing habits. So we know theoretically we can learn to do anything. You just have to develop the habit. So what I'm seeing is, okay, I'll give you an example in my own life. Years and years and years ago, I used to love getting up very early, and I'd leap out of bed when I did my practice very nicely before I went up to Mandalay when I was living in California to edit Mandalay every day. It was very strict. I enjoyed getting up early, and I really enjoyed doing my practice. And this is before cell phones and before distractions of iPads and things, And my computer was up in the office. I had nothing in my room, in my little cabin at Land of Medicine Buddha. I'd get up and I'd do my practice very comfortably. I'd do it. I have enthusiasm for my prostrations and enthusiasm to recite my prayers nicely. And I really did enjoy it. Then something shifted. I had to go to San Francisco. It doesn't matter the reasoning, whatever. And I made this decision. I'd get up when I felt like it. I can't tell you. So I think it's been 20 years or more now, maybe 30. And I'm really not kidding. This is a very big confession. Because I developed the habit of being lazy, the habit of putting off my practice, the habit of putting off my practice, the habit of putting off my practice, I put it off. So to change that habit has been meaning I do get up early and I do my practice, but I've developed an obstacle in my mind. I have an aversion to it. It doesn't give me the same pleasure. Are you understand what I'm saying? So as soon as you start doing something more than once, it becomes a habit. So the one of putting things off, which is ancient habits for so many of us, don't expect overnight you'll suddenly feel blissful again by changing your habit. It's sort of like turning around a truck, turning around a boat as big as that boat that fell over, the one with those big boats. It hugely takes time. So I get up early, I am disciplined, but still there's this kind of impulse. There's aversion, because I've developed a bad habit. So it takes time. And there's no wriggle room. There's no special answer. It just means we have to say the words, I will do it, and make a decision and be disciplined. There's no other, what prayer will I do? What mantra will I do? Should I do this? Should I get a mo? No, you just have to change the habit and start. That's it. Just start, It's really hard. And then eventually pleasure will come. And this is part of the problem as well. When something doesn't bring a pleasant feeling, then of course we don't want to do it. But if you have enthusiasm, like if you go to the gym, because you know the pushing and pushing and pushing and the sweating and the panting is going to give you that body, that becomes a pleasure because you feel the result. For me, when I did Kung Fu 6 days a week when I was working in London, I had incredible enthusiasm for it. And I'd be exhausted. I mean, I'd be dragging. I mean, we'd be doing these 30 push-ups on our knuckles. I could hardly breathe. I was exhausted. I could drag myself home, but my mind was happy. Your mind was happy. I'm just talking here. I'm sure we all recognize. Yeah. And I haven't even mentioned the worst laziness yet. So any discussions about this point? Any questions, discussions? And again, with habit, the tragedy is every time you put it off, you believe you can't do it. So to suddenly shift and say, I can do it, we almost don't believe it. So we have to be respectful to ourselves to know that broken old habits die hard, but there's no choice. And it's one step at a time. So any questions, people, on this so far? And then I'll go into the third one in a minute. The third laziness. Any questions? Anybody? Nobody. I'm sure everybody recognizes what I'm saying. And everyone's the same. We all put things off. And it's one of our biggest guilts, isn't it? We all know that because we all follow attachment, because it's easy to go and sit and have something to feed, easy to go to bed early, it's easy to watch the telly, easy to pick up your phone, easy to, put the coffee in the mouth, easy to put, whatever. We know that. So any questions? Have a discussion. If not, I can just keep talking. Nothing. Nobody, because we all recognize and there's no question. Yes, Donna. Donna, hang on a second, Oliver. Donna first.
Hi. Well, isn't it also, I find myself, there's a project that I've been working on for a couple of years, and lately I've just been putting it off, and it's haunting me.
That's
And
right.
yeah, it's haunting me, and I feel bad about it.
I understand
But
exactly.
I'm
Yeah, that's
still not.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can
And
you see any other reasons for it? How do you analyze it?
oh, the way I analyze it is I say, maybe it's no good, this project in the first place.
Okay.
And who cares that I'm doing it? And
Okay.
it might not be good.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
where, yeah, well, that's where, yeah, of course, yeah. So here, of course, we're talking our practice, and to make it our practice, but any other project too, it's clear. So sometimes, we have to see that all the conditions are there for it to become successful. So bashing our heads against a brick wall maybe isn't sensible. So you've got to look at other aspects of it, and maybe it's not the right time. So let's just use an example of somebody in their practice. Let's say you decide you want to get single pointed concentration, and you keep trying and then putting it off and putting it off, but maybe it's just it's too high a goal and you're bashing your head against brick walls. Maybe you should be doing something else instead. So we've got to make sure that what we are wanting to do, even in the short term, let's say, is it's all the conditions are there for it to be the right thing. So we've got to look at that and use our common sense. So if maybe the conditions aren't all there, Donna, and maybe it isn't, maybe maybe it's not the right thing to do, that's a different discussion, I think. What do you think?
yes, I don't think that's it. I think it's exactly what you said. When I sit
Yeah.
down to this project, I don't feel good. It's confusing. It's like I'm putting myself into confusion. It's
And
like
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I want to be inspired, but by doing it, then I'll be inspired.
Yeah, that's right. And it's always the beginning part that's difficult, because if you go to the gym and you think, oh, all excited, I've been to the gym, and you come home and you look in the mirror, you look just as bad as before, and you even feel worse. So you've got to have clarity about the benefit of the goal and know that it takes time. We've got to be we've got to have some more bit of humility with ourselves and know that muddle in the beginning. Like if you want to grow a garden and you visualize all the beautiful roses, but every day you go out there and you dig and dig and dig at all the weeds, you can easily give up in despair. We've got to see the benefit of it, and really, and that perseverance has got to be incremental, and know that's, so once it gets a flow, so you've got to, again, and also be clear that you've got all the right methods, you've got all the right conditions in place and the right tools to do the job, It's,
Yeah,
no, it's a
good.
tough one, Donna. It's true. It absolutely is a tough one.
Good, thank you.
Go on then, Oliver. Yes, Oliver.
Thank you. It might be similar to that question, but I was wondering, can we push ourselves too hard? Like you're talking about, we need to push ourselves.
Well, that's just another type of attachment. It's like obsessive and neurotic. You go to the gym and you exhaust yourself and break your back and you can't do anything. You've got to be intelligent about it and understand the process properly, and it's incremental and it's one step at a time, instead of pushing, because the pushing one is also another version of attachment. It's neurotic and obsessive, and then there's no benefit whatsoever. So I think the real one is understanding that everything, everything is one step at a time, one little thing. You do a certain amount of gardening, you pull out some weeds. You don't sit there all night pulling out weeds and then get so exhausted you can't touch it tomorrow. You don't go and sit on your cushion for 4 hours. You'll develop incredible aversion. So you've got to be very humble and know it's one step at a time, and that every little step does count. Not be craving greedily for the result. And we tend to do that. We get very obsessive and extreme. So we've got to be wise, of course we do. So the real point also is understand the process, understand its cause and effect, one step at a time. And then at the end, each step, rejoice. You come home and you rejoice that you did some practice. In other words, it's the one of discipline, just being disciplined. And that can also be extreme. Some people can be so fanatic, even when you're dying of pneumonia, you're determined to get up there and do your practice, but you're hallucinating, So you've got to be flexible, but at the same time disciplined. We've got to be, and I really the one of putting it off, we've got to be honest with ourselves. And maybe you might, it's necessary to put it off because someone's out there dying, so you've got to put off your practice, but do it for the right reason, not out of a lazy reason. That's important. So all of it together demands some wisdom and some humility with ourselves. But it does also demand we have that you've got all the conditions in place to do it properly. You understand? And then know the process, know the logical process. That's important. But I think the key one is rejoice. Every time you do a little bit, you rejoice in your effort. You rejoice in your practice. You rejoice in the progress. So every time I do my practice now, I do enjoy now, but I'm happy I do it. I'm glad and I rejoice. That's important to kind of perk yourself up, It's important to do that, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
Robina, are we developing an attachment to practice by finding enjoyment in it? If we have this sort of trick in our mind that we're so driven by attachment, are we essentially creating an attachment in a sense?
Well, attachment, no. Pleasure is not necessarily from attachment. This is the point. Attachment, its main function is this emotional hunger, and its main function, when it puts itself onto something, it exaggerates the delicious qualities of it. So I would say to you, if you are attached to your practice, then I think go for it, baby. Don't worry about it. It's an amazing thing. Not in the sense, but if you're sitting there with your partner and you're all attached to this idea of yourself being a meditator, and they dare to make a blink or make a noise, oh, would you be quiet? I'm practicing. That's attachment to your own sense of your ridiculous self. That's not practice. So if anybody, so I know, so if you have got attachment, meaning, okay, in the bodhisattva path, Lama Zopa said you can use attachment. You can use it. So if you are so fortunate that you love doing your push-ups and you love doing your practice every day, and it does give you pleasure, wow, I'm going to rejoice for you. Do you see my point? Pleasure doesn't, but pleasure is not coming only from attachment. Pleasure comes from being virtuous. Pleasure comes from doing a good job. We want more pleasure. Nothing wrong. Pleasure is good, but you understand the difference. So be happy if you've got some pleasure doing your practice. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand me? Yeah. And the thing about attachment too is if it is attachment, then it's obsessive. And then if there's any interruption in it, like your husband dares to say, can you please give us a second, you'll get all upset. Well, that's not virtue. That's just rubbish. You understand? And it won't last, because attachment never lasts. You get bored after a while. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Someone else. Anybody? Any point? So let's look at the third one, which seems surprising because it doesn't sound like a laziness. But this is the worst one, the deepest. It's the one that says, oh, I can't do that. Impossible. I can't achieve that. Not possible. And that, I think, is the major one that holds all of us back. And this is where, like, I mean, even the gym one, which again is a samsaric example. If you don't have much self-confidence and you see this person at the gym who's really accomplished the goal, and you're all inspired by her and you want to become like her, and then, the effort it takes is pretty tremendous, and you try not to put it off, but you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. You don't feel like you're making progress, and you just kind of give up. It's really just it's lack of, it's the opposite to confident. It's low self-esteem. Oh, I can't do that. But often it can be sounding like humility. Oh no, I couldn't be that. That's too advanced for me and not possible, And that's where it's very easy with practice to do that. When we think of people like Lama Zopa or His Holiness, who seem evidently to be examples of the end result, they're the proof of the pudding, Especially Lama Zopa. I mean, when he shows this aspect of never sleeping, for example. Okay, His Holiness shows the aspect of being an ordinary person and goes to bed at 8 o'clock. And then kind of you sigh with relief. Oh, I can do that. But when Lama Zopa, even as a little boy, showed no interest in sleep, already just that alone puts him in this category of not, of course we would say, I can't possibly be like that. And right now, it is in fact true, I couldn't possibly be like that. So then we tend to think, oh, it's not possible, I can't be bothered. So but when, again, this point, I think, is we have to see it's a process. It's incremental. It's one step at a time. I love this phrase, you pave the way. So for me, like, for example, the one I think about, the one of Rinpoche never sleeping. Venerable Rogers said, that sleep for Rinpoche is a disgusting waste of time. So we know that he's driven. There's no attachment in him. He has to be fairly advanced. There's no attachment. So there's only enthusiasm, and there's only virtue, and there's only wisdom, and there's only compassion, let's say. So for him, it's like, I mean, he's made effort all these years, and no doubt there's still effort at his own level, but it just seems too impossible, to even pretend. So when I think about the sleep one, and I look at my own attachment to sleep. And of course, in our culture, and this is an important point, most of the time in our culture, we would never think of attachment to sleep because we think sleep is necessary. But of course you have to sleep, and we think sleep is good. So within our limits of who we are now, you're absolutely right. But from the point of view of a long-term perspective of practice, it's one of the grossest lazinesses possible. 8 hours of total ignorance, I mean, we don't like talking this way in the West. It sounds so wicked. It sounds very cruel and very bizarre to say that you're lazy because you sleep. But from the long-term perspective of the greatest yogis, yes, it is the grossest laziness. But given that we're ordinary samsaric beings with ordinary attachment and total addiction from countless lifetimes of needing our sleep, animals do it, we've been doing it in countless lifetimes, then you've got to be realistic. So, instead of just saying, oh, I can't be like Lama Zopa, and putting him up on a pedestal, which is the worst kind of thing to do, because when we realize, you see, these bodhisattvas, these holy beings, these Buddhas, they have gone way beyond needing a body from their own side. They do not need bodies. They are well beyond needing a body. So you've got to understand that it's their incredible compassion and their bodhicitta, in fact, that is the cause of why they even bother being born. They don't need to be. And you've got to understand that. So out of incredible compassion, the only reason they manifest in these bodies is to show us how to do it. So when you understand that, then it's not just, oh, there's Lama Zopa, I can't be like that. There's the Dalai, oh, that's just the Dalai Lama, I can't be that way. That's gross. Yes, you can be that way, but it's one step at a time. So you have the goal, like the gym, you see the amazing human being, you see what they've achieved, you find their methodology, and you go one step at a time, rejoicing in each step that you do it, and looking, if you like, using your energy of looking forward to the goal. It's really important. So with sleep one, I don't even pretend to try to have less, you know. I mean, I don't, if I have to sleep, I will, but I prefer, you know, I have a certain number. I like to go to bed at a certain time, get up early, do my water bowls, blah, blah, blah. I like to do that. But it's always an effort to wake up in the morning. I'd rather go back to sleep. Anyway, what I say to myself when I hit the pillow, I have a very nice pillow. When I hit the pillow, I say to myself, apart from other things, may I find sleep disgusting. And why I say that is when you understand karma, that every thought you have stays in your mind. You're developing the habit. So I want to develop the habit to find sleep disgusting. It won't ripen in this life, I promise. But they all say karma multiplies hugely by the next life. So if I say that every day, then I will wake up next life with no interest in sleep. I'm so excited. So understanding karma in the long term is very sensible. So yes, absolutely, I want to find sleep disgusting. I want to have the enthusiasm. And you read about regular people. I mean, I remember this CEO guy, like 3 hours a night, all he needed because he made the effort, because he's so enthusiastic about his work, you know. It's possible. So when we have to, so in talking about this way also, we've got to see our mind. We've got to take responsibility for it, not guilt, but recognize. So this strong, I have attachment to sleep. There's no question, you know. By the time I'm finishing here, it'll be about 9 o'clock, 9:30. I'll finish my practice. And in the back of my mind is bed, you know. In the back of my mind is bed. You understand me? So we're all like this. So we've got to see our mind and catch it and then try to put in positive thoughts so we can shift the habits, you know. Because it all comes down to attachment. Having this body is just, I mean, just the amount of effort just to sustain this body. We understand that. And that's just attachment. I mean, it's a long-term view that we're discussing here. It's not meant to be fundamentalist or negative or guilty. We've got to understand it, you know. So we've got to say, I can do it. And then you practice one step at a time. And why? You're doing the goal, becoming a Buddha. No matter how long it takes, doesn't matter. You give yourself some enthusiasm. What do you think, people? What do you think, everybody? Questions? That's all that topic. Maybe we have to just speak about something else now because it's only 50 minutes we've been talking and we've done it. Someone else? Discussion? Questions? Nothing.
Venerable Robina.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
And I really just concurring, agreeing with you about the quickness with which you can start a bad habit.
Put it off. Yes, exactly.
Bad habit thing, and then aversion.
That's right.
Misery.
That's right. Exactly. I know. It's so true, isn't it? And that's what we've got to understand. Ever more subtle. There's attachment and aversion. They're not like we think in the West at all, but it's so subtle. And it's 1,000 times a day. You know, the second I look at my jobs and those particular jobs that I've got to do, instead of, you know, enthusiasm comes, aversion comes. So I put it off. Like in a millisecond, you wouldn't even notice me blinking, you know, but it happened. You got to catch. You've got to not fool yourself. And then and the thing is, at least if you catch it and you can counteract it. Because habits, the very nature of karma means we're developing habits. And our mind, we all know it's very easy to learn how to do something, but it's when the opposite is strong, it's like I said, it's like turning around the Titanic. It's so difficult. And you've got to be prepared for that struggle. Like, you know, Donna's point, you've got to be prepared for that struggle, the feeling of aversion and confusion when you start and you just can't cope with it. And all you want to do is get off the bloody chair and do something else. We've got to persevere. That's what perseverance means. Perseverance means don't give up. You give yourself a timeline. I won't give up. You know, I'll do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. and you need you need a balance, because if you push too hard, like Oliver's saying, you can go berserk, you can get extreme, so we've got to be very careful, very careful. And I think the key to it is having perseverance, but delighting in your effort, being happy with yourself, saying the words. I always use the analogy like you're studying music, you're a little girl, and you practice and practice, and you pass grade 1. But then attachment is never satisfied. So attachment's looking forward to passing grade 1. You're all excited, and then you pass grade 1, and then you're disappointed. Oh, I'm only in grade 1. Oh, I'm no good. I'm only in grade 1. Then you get to grade 2. Oh, I'm only in grade 2. And you get to grade 997. Oh, I'm only in grade 997, because we keep waiting for the next one. Then we'll be happy. That you got to trick attachment in learning to be happy now, learning to be content. And I think that's a major one that counteracts the putting things off, Make an effort for 5 minutes, do it, Donna, and then delight. I made an effort. This is fantastic. And you'll gradually develop that new habit in your mind, and it'll start to bring some pleasure. So we've got to be very skillful with our mind, because our mind's so tricky. Ego's so tricky, as Amiyeshi says, We can lie to ourselves very easily. So then when you don't lie to yourself, don't be extreme and beat yourself up. No, just be honest. I mean, we're the ones we lie to, forget about the people. We cheat ourselves,
Venerable.
So the key to all this is really understanding attachment, actually, understanding it ever more subtly. Yes, Christina.
I just have 2 questions. So when we start building up a good habit, and then we suddenly feel a shift, and then the bad habit comes in, and then we have this sense of, okay, I'll do that later. What do we do when we're trying to correct that habit towards returning to the good habit of all of these things that?
I'm lost. Why are you up in the mountains? I mean, why are you dressed like an Eskimo?
Oh,
Are
sorry,
you in
it's just freezing. I'm in the shade. I'm in Surrey Hills, and I had a Tai Chi class, so I just came to
Oh, I see.
sit
Okay.
here outside, and it's quite
So
cold.
start the question again. I'm a bit complicated.
Yeah. So when we're correct, so say we're procrastinating, and we want to, what do we do with the guilt of the things that we say that we're going to do later, but then we don't, is it easy to just start again?
Okay, you use the word guilt, and guilt is literally, it's not being horrible. It's self-pity, and it sounds like a bit sort of like it sounds virtuous, but it's just not taking responsibility. It's just childish. Guilt is no benefit at all. It's not helpful. Oh, it's just no benefit. You got to really cut that one.
We cut it by just starting fresh.
So I'm gonna get a bit confused. What do you mean? Give me a simple example.
Okay, for example, we say we're going to practice in the morning, and then we miss
Oh,
the practice, and then we say do it later. But then we miss the practice, and then we think, oh, I have to do that again. It becomes like an accumulation of.
Yeah, no, but don't think of it that way. Don't think of it that way. You just have to, you missed it out of laziness, and you catch it. You recognize you did that. So tomorrow I'm going to pick that's what you got to, no, that's what enthusiasm and perseverance is. You made the mistake again. You fell off the wagon. You drank your alcohol again. No point in guilt. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. And you keep picking yourself up, and you keep doing it until the habit kicks in. Guilt isn't useless. Habits are very, very strong. I mean, this is, it's like, yeah, just got to notice it, take responsibility, catch when you put it off. Like in the middle of all your other jobs, and you catch your mind, I should do that. Oh, I'll do it later. You catch yourself, your own responsibility, and say, tomorrow I'm going to do it. And you just keep trying. But you be honest with yourself. You just have to be honest. Guilt is useless. But you just got to keep persevering. You got to keep. It's just that's what perseverance is. That's what you never give up. You pick yourself up and you just keep going, and that's a very admirable quality, because you will succeed eventually. Yes. Guilt just counteracts it as a disaster.
Thank you. And the other thing is, when you talk about the levels, sometimes I guess you think, okay, I'm finally at level 1, and then something happens, and then you think, oh no, I'm not even at level 0 or something like that. And then, Do you just
What's the
keep
question?
going? You just keep going, like you don't worry too much. I mean, like the levels is just a metaphor. It doesn't really matter. Is that what you're trying to say? Like you just keep going, never give up.
I never said anything like that. What do you mean by levels? I don't understand.
Oh, like when you say, okay, now I'm at, I
I'm
have
saying
to
that-
rejoice at like level 500 or whatever. But then you realize, no, I'm not at 500. I'm at level -3 or something.
No, but I'm not discussing that. I'm discussing something as simple as I use the example. You did just pass grade 1. You got your certificate.
But it's not linear, like is what I understand. That like you just go.
You're using the example in a wrong way. I didn't mean it like that.
I understand. Okay. Yeah.
I'm saying in general, I use that as a simple example, but I'm saying in general, be content with whatever you every day. One of our main practices is to say rejoicing words to ourselves. Even if you did one small positive thing today and 19 lazy rubbish ones, you still recognize it and you rejoice. I did that. So you be humble and honest, and you regret your rubbish and you rejoice in the goodness, and you pick yourself up and you go the next day. It's very reasonable. It's just very reasonable. There's no drama about it. We've got to be very sincere, very realistic, and know it's a process. And
Thank you,
rejoice in that one small thing, you know. It's hard because if you shout it, if you're making a vow not to be angry with your boyfriend, when you shout it 7 times a day, you can get a bit depressed, you know. But rejoice that you didn't get angry 8 times. Acknowledge your little bit of effort every day, and then make the wish to do it a bit better tomorrow. And with optimism, it's the optimistic view that's really important as well. That keeps you going, you know.
Thank you.
Okay, sweetheart.
Nicole had her hand up, I think.
All right, Nicole, talk to me, sweetheart.
Oh, I just wanted to add to the conversation.
Yeah.
My teacher, he was a heroin addict who became a monk, and he's just wonderful. And he says, rejoice in the fact that you wanted to do it. You know, just
There you go. That's wonderful, Nicole. Yes.
had the intention to do something. That's
even one. So I think that's what I think that's a good point. That's the enthusiasm. Is that that's the not giving up part. The enthusiasm about it is not giving up, not despairing. You know, because it's so easy to despair. But do not give up. Fall down and you pick yourself up and you just keep going. And that means having confidence in the fact that the mind is flexible and we can change. But the rejoicing is so important. The rejoicing, I think we really do forget that in our culture. We don't like to do it. We never like to have positive thoughts about ourselves. We almost think it's naughty, you know, but it's one of the most powerful things. Positive thoughts are so beneficial. I can't stress that enough. So that's a good point. Thank you, Nicole.
I have a question.
Yes.
I think it's related. My kids are kind of annoyed with me because I don't do the things that they think I should be doing, like going out and doing the things other parents are doing.
And yes. Yeah.
And they're like, you know, it's hard it's just hard to be swimming upstream with your own children and family.
They're feeling it a bit. They feel like you're not happy, or you're kind of a bit secluded, or something. Or that. Why do you think they're a bit stressed about that? What they don't? They must think you're not happy.
Well, I guess an example is an example is last night I fell asleep during the day, so I was up till I usually go to bed super early, but I was up till whatever time, and she was out. I was cleaning when she came home. I was like scrubbing the floor, and I was listening to the Friday Night's Frosty Abbey thing, and I was happy. And she came home from a party, and
Okay.
what are you? It's so intense in here, and I was like, oh. But it hurt my feelings in a way, and that's my insecurity and my self-centered thought. But yeah,
I think Intense because you're just washing the dishes or something. I mean I don't think you got anything that's wrong. It's just her. That's her mind, you know. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
sitting drinking alcohol and having a party with somebody, she'd be happy. I
Right.
know. I think I just yes. Well, then maybe also maybe sometimes go out with her, take her for a drink then, so she can counteract it. She lives with you, does she?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe then that's what mothers have to do, is just do what their children want sometimes and take her out for a meal, and I suppose you do that as well. I know, but
Maybe
that's
attached to her approving of my lifestyle.
you know, easily. I mean, that's right. We're so sensitive so vulnerable to somebody else's opinion, especially a daughter. Oh my God, yes. So then that's mainly the thing for you, I'd say. Yeah. And, you know, yeah, exactly. I think you want her. Yeah, that's right. I think you're a good point. That's a good point, Nicole. Give that one up. Who else then, people? Come on. Or what shall we talk about our last 28 minutes? Yes, Reese, Peter.
Oh, hi. I read the Lamrim yearbook every day, and Lamrim is often heavy duty with some of the stuff he says.
Right.
But it's good. It's opens your mind up. And I don't know if it's the way I'm reading it. So he talks about all the different realms. So I've read your book about dying happy and understanding death, and then I look at what he's been talking about all the hell room, the Hunger Ghost realms, and all that. And then I visualize, okay, so you're dead and you're in the bardo, and you're sort of thinking, where are you going to go? Hopefully a good place. But say you go to the animal realm, the hell room, the Hunger Ghost realm. Is that, am I looking at that? I'm sort of thinking, hey, I'm going to this place there. But is that place actually just coming back to where we are in samsara, but in that horrible realm as such? Do you know what I mean?
Not quite. I want to be clear what you mean, Ree. So just ask it a different way, that bit.
Okay, so
I mean, is your question, what is an animal realm?
I'm in the bardo, and I haven't achieved where I wanted to go. And say I went to...
Before you go further, the way the death process is, this is why it's so crucial to have someone supporting you at the time you're dying, because when the death process starts, and that's a couple of hours usually before you stop breathing, that's the period when the karmic seed that in your bank vault of billions of karmic seeds, when that karmic seed will be triggered, which is the one that will determine your next birth. So if you die in a good way and hearing mantras and someone supporting you, then a positive karmic seed will be triggered, and then in the intermediate state it'll be fine. You won't worry. So what's the real question then?
Okay, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying there, but these different realms...
Okay, you're asking what the realms are, in other words.
No, I know what all the realms are, but
okay, so what's the question?
but are they? I'm visualizing the different realms. It's actually just coming back to where we are, living here in samsara, in this horrible, like I've been born in a place where there's hunger and disgusting life and all that sort of stuff.
But what do you mean, darling? Because Ree is in a human body. She's got mind, which she's got access to her virtues, and then if her mind, due to some negative karma triggered at the time you die, then throws you into the dog womb, you'll get born as a puppy dog. I mean, a puppy dog is not Ree. What do you mean come back to the same? You become a puppy dog.
Yeah.
Different kind of mind.
I guess
huh?
Go on.
No, you tell me.
I guess I'm just sort of looking at when it does happen and wherever I go, it is just, I'm having trouble explaining. It's just what I pictured in my mind. I've died and I've come back as a puppy dog, but all these different realms are actually in samsara here now.
As opposed to what?
I guess going somewhere else to another planet. I don't know.
Okay, I sort of hear. Okay, let me explain then. Let me explain.
Okay.
So we have a mind, a consciousness, and it's got a continuity of mental moments. It's like a river of mental moments, and it's going back and back and back into past. Think of a simple linear past and present and future. So before Ree before your consciousness found its way to Ree's mummy's fallopian tube, where it joined with daddy's sperm, which was the first moment of re-beginning, Ree's consciousness was in a previous body a few weeks before that. And that could have been a dog body or a human body. And then when that person was conceived, the same thing, your mind goes back and your mind goes back. And the 1900s, you're somewhere else, and the 1800s. And you can go back in a simple linear sense. Your consciousness goes back. And as you get more advanced and as you get clairvoyance, you'll be able to see all these rebirths, and they're very real people, real animals, and real experiences here and now. There's nothing fancy about it. So that at this moment in time, there are trillions of minds. Some have a human body. At this moment in time today, Sunday, the 22nd of June in Sydney, there are trillions of minds. Some are in monkey bodies, some are in human bodies, some have hell realm experience, some have spirit at this moment in time on the 22nd of June. It's present now in different, based on karma they create. And you see, because when you look at the Vajrayana model of the way the world is, we've got gross body, subtle body, and then there's a very subtle physical energy. And inextricably linked at each of those stages is your gross mind, which is your sensory consciousness. Then your subtle mind is all your thoughts and feelings. And then that's connected to this subtle nervous system. And then you've got a very subtle mind and very subtle physical energy. And then, so then due to your karma, the karma you created, you get reborn, and basically our minds are all conjoined with the four elements, basically. So due to virtue, we've got a mind conjoined with the elements. It looks like a human body. If some heavy negative karma ripens, your consciousness will join the egg and sperm of the mummy puppy dog, and you'll have a puppy dog body with a puppy dog mind. Very deep ignorance, very intense fear. If it's a spirit mind, your four elements are more subtle, but your mind is conjoined with those four elements, almost like mostly the air element, and you're born like a hungry ghost. If it's a hell mind due to very heavy negative karma, basically the four elements are almost like predominantly like the fire energy, and your mind is conjoined with the fire element, and so you have intensive mental experiences. They're very real experiences of real beings with different configurations of the four elements, which is what their bodies are. Do you understand me?
I do. You've cleared it up. I guess it's the old Catholic teachings. I grew up as Catholic, in heaven and hell and purgatory, and going to these places other than here. And I've always had that, I guess, drummed into my brain. But I know what you mean.
But I think in a big picture point of view, Ree, my own feeling is hearing the Muslims, hearing the Christians, hearing the different views of the world, including the Buddhists. There are many similarities, I think, that the great meditators and holy beings in these different systems have all observed similar things. I really think so, but maybe they just got different interpretations of them. This is putting a respectful interpretation on the viewpoints that run around the world these last few centuries. Humans have been busy trying to work out the meaning of life, and they seem to come up with many similar things, but different interpretations and reasons and logics. And do you understand my point?
Yeah. Thanks, Venerable. That was great.
Good. Okay. What else, people?
Venerable Jerry here. I have a question.
Very hi, sweetheart.
Hello. Thanks for your teaching. One of the things you said earlier, and I've heard it many times, every thought you have stays in your mind.
Yes.
And I mean, not all our thoughts are ones that we search for. You know, you can have random thoughts, all sorts of, it could be horrible. And you might say, oh, that's a horrible thought. Let go of that. You know, but does that mean stay in your mind and do damage?
Two things. There's two things about it, I think, the way the mind works. There's two things. One is the more qualitative one of the way we create karma, which means every thought we have that's labeled virtuous will sow a positive seed in the mind that'll ripen in the future as a happy type of result, as a tendency to keep thinking that thing, as that kind of thing happening to you, or as a good physical result. Karma ripens in four ways. And then, so that's a qualitative way, I would say, that every millisecond of what we think and do and say, none of it goes astray insofar as every one of them sows a seed. That's one approach. Do you get my point here, Jerry? Keep your mic on. The other one is that really it's like it's just the simple thing that anything we've ever seen or heard or thought or done or anything is it doesn't just, it leaves an imprint in your memory. It leaves it's like it leaves an imprint of it in your memory, which is how can you remember anything? Because you've seen it before and done it before. So and that's not even karma. That's just the way the mind works. So that's why you can eventually get clairvoyance. And you'll see the past and see the future and even the minds of others. So everything stays in the mind. But then but then it just means memories. It doesn't, it's all a memory. In a sense, it's just memory is what I'm talking about.
Right.
But
Because
the karma
some,
one is,
some,
go
some
on.
of the thoughts might not be things that you'd want, you know, like just random horrible thought. Oh, that's a horrible thought, and you want to not have it, you know.
I know, well, then what you do with that is the thought arises because it's been there before. It wouldn't come otherwise. So if you notice the thought, you hear it's non-virtuous, you regret it, and you think, I don't want that thought. So you own it. You don't be scared of it. You own it. I mean, there's lots of garbage that pops up in our minds. We have no idea why. It's from heavy-duty past memories. Like good things come in our mind. So if we observe it, acknowledge it, recognize what it is, know it's not our true nature, regret it, and try to change. I'd be happy to see it. At least not identify with it as me and not be scared. That's very common. I think we're scared. I mean, when people, like, especially if there's some strong habits there, like one of the people I know on death row in Kentucky, he's the guy who used to come to where I'd go to the classes. He thinks of torture. This is karma as well. He thinks of torture all the time because his habit was so powerful. So we don't even know why we have habits because we don't talk about karma, So that's a really strong karmic one. But things just popping up out of the blue, this can happen and it can be very scary. But knowing then those ones, when you don't have a strong tendency to follow it, but it's there, you must have had it in the mind, it's popped up.
Oh, right. Sorry, that was frozen. You were frozen on my screen for a while. You said the guy in death row thinks of torture all the time.
Yes.
And then my screen was frozen.
There must be what?
My screen was frozen. I didn't hear what you said after that.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, would you mind just saying that a little bit again?
Story about him is that's the things that, okay, you wake up in this life, Jerry, and every one of us has certain ideas. We get certain things we don't like. We have a tendency to steal, tendency to lie, tendency to be loving. That's the karmic one. We literally created our own personality, our own tendencies. So if you've got a habit to be good at piano, it's because you've done it before. A habit to torture is because you've done it before. A habit to play the piano is because you've done it before. That's one approach to what I'm talking about, which is the karmic tendencies. The other one is everything you've seen and heard and is all there as a memory. Well, sometimes we can conjure up memories from when we were a child. I remember sometime one of my sisters was talking about how I had this very vivid dream in which I could see and smell and almost touch with crystal clarity our house where we lived in Murrumbina in Melbourne. It was all, in other words, it was a vivid, crystal clear dream, like as if I was there. It's because I have been there and I could see the cupboard, I could hear the sound of the door. All those memories are there, but we don't often access our memories. That's the other I'm talking about. And that's eventually you can get clairvoyance and remember a past life. That's the quality of the other one I'm saying. That's the point I'm getting at.
Right.
What I'm saying.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, then you're saying there's maybe a random horrible thought. It's from some past karma. So you just need to acknowledge it and regret it. And
right, and the fact that it doesn't come all the time and you want to follow it, like my poor friend who just wants to torture all the time, that's heavy duty. So, but there's billions of thoughts in there, billions of memories, and they mostly don't even arise because we're living at a very gross level of our mind now, which is conceptuality. But when we get single point of concentration, that's where you can start to see in the past and literally remember this life and that life. I mean, I had this vivid dream where I could remember the house where we lived when we were kids, but because it's stored in my mind, but we can't access it at this grosser level. But the random thoughts that pop up, there's billions of them in there, So if it pops up out of nowhere, luckily you don't want to do it again. You own it, regret it, don't identify with it, don't be scared of it, and that's it, Do you understand?
thank you.
Good. All right. Yeah. Okay, what else, people? What else? We could end.
I have a question, another one.
Good, darling.
This is Nicole.
Yes, Nicole, sweet.
Okay, so we're if we're on the we're on the bodhisattva path, and we're going to keep coming back until every sentient being is enlightened. And then if all the bumblebees and all the bugs are all enlightened, is it just going to be a completely different, what's going to be? Like, 'cause
I
who
would
will-
that's more that concept of keeping coming back until everyone's enlightened is more just aspirational, because do not ever think there'll be a time when everyone's enlightened. I don't think it's ever, I don't think it's going to be 40 trillion eons. If we look at behavior of the vast majority of even humans, they even say, it's not meant to be depressing. It's really meant to be giving us the energy to have the enthusiasm that no matter how long it takes, we will keep coming back. And that's what the Buddhas do. So, I mean, even they say the vast majority of humans on the planet right now, when they die, will be born in the lower realms. So it's like, don't hold your breath, because our attachment wants it to be all lovely, and we can imagine one day when they're all going to be enlightened. But more, that's the aspirational energy of the bodhisattvas and Buddhas, that they just simply, when you finally become a Buddha, your mind pervades the universe. You see every mind as if it were right there, all their past, all their future, all their present. You see exactly you have infinite compassion for every being, and you have this infinite power to manifest your mind right there in limitless bodies, in limitless universes, for this limitless time, for the sake of limitless sentient beings. And that's what you continue to do never endingly. And that's it. But it's the enthusiasm to want to continue to come no matter what that the bodhisattvas have, that compels them.
So you're saying that
So if we're enlightened, Nicole, there would be no universes. There'd just be blissful, all pervasive, all manifesting, all compassionate consciousnesses pervading wherever there's no existence. There's no realms. Realms of existence are only existing because sentient beings create karma. But if sentient beings all stop creating karma, there'd be no universes. There'd just be pure mind, billions of pure minds. That's it. Because the only reason bodhisattvas and Buddhas manifest in bodies looking like you and me is to help us. There's no other reason. They don't need bodies. Do you understand?
Do you think that that's possible one day, that it will just all be pure minds?
Well, it's my point before. My whole point. My whole point is, if the vast majority, like, to get a human body is like winning the lottery. It's inconceivable. But 7 billion humans right now, the vast majority are not looking at their mind. The vast majority are not necessarily practicing ethics. The vast majority lie, steal, kill, harm, creating negative karma. And so, of course, they're going to be born in the lower realms. So if the vast majority of humans will be born in the lower realms, forget about the hell beings and the spirits and the animals and the rest. Of course, they're going to be born in the lower realms, because delusions are strong. Negative karma is strong. But if they were all enlightened, yeah, they'd just be blissful, radiant minds, nothing more.
Thank you.
Real one is to have the enthusiasm to never give up. That's the bodhisattva attitude, I think. Do you understand? And it's all kind of mind-boggling even talking this way, isn't it? It sounds so abstract and strange for us, especially coming from the materialist point of view. And it seems quite exhausting too, because at least Christians, I remember I was very funny, I was talking to some Lutherans one time in Kathmandu. A group of Lutheran tourists came to the center and they wanted to know about Buddhism. So I was talking about the bodhisattva path and how you pray to come back and back and back, never endingly, to benefit others. And one of the guys said, "No, I want to go to heaven to be with God, and that's it." He was very, very shocked. Sounds so depressed. Anyway, so I mean, this enthusiasm one, this bodhicitta one is too over the top for me. It's just outrageous, These holy beings acting like this is too much. But that's what they're taught. So just one step at a time, folks. It's the best way to think. One step at a time. Okay, people, enough for tonight. For me tonight. That's okay. We're done. Yeah, we're done. Good enough.
Yes, thank you.
When's our next? Good on you, Katie. When's our next meeting? Well, I look at my calendar. I've got it in, I think. Well, there it is.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. This is my first time I've actually tuned in.
Who are you? Who are you? Oh, Katie. Hello, darling. Yes.
Hi. Yes.
Is it useful for you or weird?
This is unbelievable because I have tuned in. I'll be honest. Yes, funny that you mentioned Lutheran, late mother. I don't know what that instilled in me.
Yes.
Heaven knows, maybe my piousness and righteousness. But I'm come to this, well, recommended, but also with a background in therapy, counseling, but learning. And I just want to thank you.
Okay, Katie. Good.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
I'm going to keep joining in if that's okay.
Okay, sweetheart. Well, I'm happy. I'm a Melbourne girl living in New York City right now. So,
well, don't come down under because it's freezing. I'm just out of Sydney, and it's terrible.
I'm in Sydney in October doing the happiness conference, but also I'm going to be giving a talk to the Buddhist psychology something or other group as well. So we might see each other in Sydney.
Oh, look, I'll tell you what. I'll force my way in. Thank you.
Sweetheart. Good. I'm very happy, Katie. Thank you, darling. Thank you, everybody. Happy to see you all. Americans, Australians, as well as the Americans. It's okay. So we'll see you all sometime again very soon. And thank you so much. And no need for prayers. That's it. We're done. Delight in what we've done. Be happy. Put a positive thought in our minds. Okay. Be delighted and never give up and go one step at a time. And never giving up means never giving up on our potential. That's the key. That's the one. Okay, darlings.